YouTube, Google+, Facebook, Twitter. Welcome back to another exciting episode. Let's get this party started. Okay, everybody. I am going to talk today about two topics. The first one, well actually three in a way. The release date for the Nintendo NX, Zelda Wii U, Zelda NX coming out 2017. And the third topic is when games come to the Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS, should they get two different scores in the rating system depending on how the game plays on each system. So let's kick it off with the first topic, which is the Nintendo NX release date of March of 2017, and also Zelda Wii U pushed back to the same time. Now, first of all, I actually thought there was a good chance it was a 2016 system, but I'm really glad, well, not really glad, but I'm happy enough that it got pushed back to 2017. March is my birthday area, so that's cool. But a secondary reason why, most main reason actually I should say, is because I want them to do it right. You don't want to rush anything to the market. You want to make sure you have plenty of software for the system, plenty of good launch games. Make sure you have plenty in stock to distribute to all the stores for people who want to buy it. You want to be ready for everything. So I'm glad that March 2017 is the date. I hope they give us something at E3, maybe some tech demos or things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here at this E3. Last E3, we know how that went out. It didn't go so well. So let's hope that this E3, the biggest game isn't Metroid Prime Hunters. Or Metroid, what is that? Metroid Federation Force. I got lost for a second there. I forgot what the game name was. I'm actually looking forward to that game, even though I know there's a lot of hate for it. I want to see what it's all about, but let's hope this E3 is a good one. And let's hope that Nintendo's got some shoes to fill, because they have to fill in, because they're not going to have, hopefully, I think Zelda Wii U is still going to be at this E3, I imagine. I don't know if the NX will, or details and things, I hope so, so we shall see. Now, I know there's a lot of people that were upset that Zelda got pushed back till next year. And people are saying, well, I'm just going to pick it up on the NX then, because it's going to be pushed back to the same time. You got to remember, Zelda, this game was built up from the ground up for the Wii U. So it is going to be basically a Wii U game. They may add a couple of features and things for the NX, if it does go to the NX, which it will, most likely. But still, it's a port, because it was originally based off of the Wii U. So really, if you're going to pick it up, the true version would be the Wii U version. So I would say there's nothing to be alarmed about. If it's going to the NX, the Wii U, you should definitely, if you have a Wii U, pick it up on the Wii U still. You got to remember that Nintendo themselves, when they build games, they don't just build beautiful looking graphical games. They build things off of innovation and gameplay. That's the thing about Nintendo. So this game is going to be full of that, and the graphics are going to be secondary always. And I'm sure it's going to look beautiful no matter what. But I'm just saying, in general, their games are built off of innovations, gameplay, fantastic storylines, get lost in the world, so on. So that's the graphics, even though they may be beautiful, is the backseat of the game. Now, what I'm really curious to see at this E3 is what games we will see for the Nintendo Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. We have an idea for the 3DS more than we have the Wii U, because we know that there's the Dragon Quest games coming. We know there's, Monster Hunter Generations. We know there's quite a few indie games. For the 3DS, it's much easier to judge what's coming because we kind of have an idea. The Wii U, we have no idea. So hopefully they have some surprises for us of things that they're going to bring. Maybe one or two big games from Nintendo for the Wii U. Lots of indie games. Third party, I don't see that happening, but definitely indies and a couple of Nintendo games. A couple of Nintendo in-house coming to the Wii U. So hopefully that'll fill up the schedule. Hopefully something, at least one or two big games coming to that system. Let's just hope they give some details, maybe some footage and stuff. I don't know if they'll have a hands-on playing demo of the Nintendo NX, but at least some hands-on video conferencing, kind of telling what is going on about it, details and things. Let's hope they do that, just so we can put a nail in all these rumors, because there's so many rumors out there of the NX does this, and the next day it does that, and every time it happens, it becomes a whole new system. So let's just hope they give us some details at this E3 on it. Now, I already heard people complaining about, crying and things about it being pushed back, and F Nintendo, and I'm glad I was never going to buy it in the first place, seeing there's all those people out there. But actuality is, with all the crying aside stuff, is that I think it's a good move to push it back to this date, because we want a strong launch. The people were expecting a 2016 launch, so their hype bubble burst, and now they're all upset. Also, you got to remember, at the end of this year, all this VR stuff is hitting. So it's better that they go into the March window to get past all that hype of people wanting VR and thinking it's the next big thing and so on. So this way they don't compete with all that either. I myself am a huge Legend of Zelda fan, so I was bummed out that it's pushed back. But at the same time, I want a great high quality product, and they definitely know what they're doing, so I trust them, and I will just have to wait like everybody else. Now, for the people who think their Wii U is useless or so on, they gotta be crazy, because there's tons of Wii U games that are out there that are fantastic, and this is going to be supported, from what I read, up until 2018. So there's lots of life left into the Wii U, and I'm sure, like everybody, we have a huge backlog of games to catch up on both systems, the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. So I mean, you don't have to have the newest and greatest game out right away. There's plenty of games in the backlogs, the fantastic library on the Wii U, Nintendo 3DS, and they're going to keep supporting it up until 2018, so that means there will still be games coming to the system from Nintendo and from indies and so on. So I was going to say third party, but it's not really third party. So indies and Nintendo will both be supporting the Wii U until that day. So definitely hold on to your Wii U's and keep enjoying your times with them, because you have plenty more life left in the system. Actually, in both systems you have plenty of life, so nothing to worry about. I personally think when the Nintendo NX comes out, not everyone's going to jump at it right away. It's going to take some time, just like every other system. People will watch, see what it has, and so on. If it has a really fantastic, strong launch titles, at least a couple big names from Nintendo, one, two, I would say one, maybe one big game from Nintendo, a couple big third-party supports, a couple big indies, and they should be a great launch title. But I have a feeling it's going to be a much stronger launch than we've seen in many years. So for sure, probably Zelda Wii U, Zelda NX, and if their rumors are true, which we don't ever know, a lot of those big ports from the Wii U over, such as Smash Brothers, Splatoon, and so on. I have a feeling the Nintendo NX will have a great launch compared to the Wii U, and hopefully they'll give us plenty of information so we know what the product is, and a bunch of launch games with the system. So my question is, I wonder how many dual releases on the system we're going to see. Like one's going to the Wii U and then one's going to the Nintendo NX. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to do that quite a bit or not much. I'm hoping, well, I would say the best thing to do is not too much, because if you do a bunch of dual releases, then there's really no incentive to get the NX. They gotta put the exclusives and make the NX really shine, so I don't think the dual releases is a good idea. Too much. That's the whole reason of upgrading a system. You want something brand new experiences and everything. You don't want dual releases to get in the way of that. So anyways, I am happy with this March of 2017 launch date. Oh, actually, before I forget, they said globally. So does that mean that they are going to launch this thing all regions the same day? I think that's what it means, so I could be wrong, so leave in the comments below. But if that's true, I don't know when they've done that the last time. That's pretty interesting. I caught on to that when I read it, and I was like, wow, they are doing a global launch. So that is pretty cool. Everybody's going to get it the same day. That would be really interesting. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to have to do some research later and see if there was ever a console they did in the past that launched globally all in the same day. I don't think so. At least I can't remember one. I know the Wii wasn't. Nintendo NES wasn't for sure. I remember those two. Nintendo DS, handheld wise, no. So I'm not sure. I have to research that. So if you guys even know that answer, leave in the comments below. But I don't think they've globally launched a console come out on the same day worldwide. So that'd be interesting. Now on to my second topic, and this is the reason why I brought it up is because of Hyrule Warriors Legends on the new Nintendo 3DS. It runs differently if you have the older DS. So, I mean 3DS, not DS. That dual launch thing. So anyways, on the older 3DS, it runs differently. It runs at less frames per second compared to the newer 3DS. So, IGN rated it, and I don't agree with their ratings in the first place, but at least on this game. I agree with them on a lot of things, but for some reason their ratings at the on the game, I think it was like 6.8 for the new Nintendo 3DS, which I definitely think it's an 8.5 because I've been playing it for quite a while. It's one of my favorite games, actually. And on the older 3DS, they gave it a 4.8 or something like that. So, anyways, do you think, first of all, first part of the question is, do you think that games should get a dual score between the older 3DS and newer 3DS if the game runs differently? Because if the game runs the same on all systems, then it's pointless. But I'm saying if it runs differently, like Hyrule Warriors Legends does, should it get different rating? And second part of the question is, I lost my train of thought for a second. Hold on. Oh yeah, if they make games for the older 3DS, new 3DS, should they make a game like this, Hyrule Warriors Legends, that runs differently on both systems? Or should they try to stay away from doing that because it can cause problems like it is now? So first part of the question, I'm going to say they should definitely give it two different ratings, because if it runs differently on the hardware on both systems and you're getting a different experience, then definitely, because you're getting a much different experience than the other guy is. So if it runs differently, the software runs differently on both systems, then I would say yes. Now, second part of the question is, I said, should they even do these kind of things? Because we still have at least 2 or 3 years more support of the Nintendo 3DS also. So should they be making games that run differently on both systems? Or should they just make the new Nintendo 3DS get these games that the older 3DS can't get? So this is a very tricky question, because I can see both sides. I can see on the consumer side and on the person who's making the game side. So it's a very tough question. I'm really not sure on this question myself. I would say that it would really depend on how the game ran. On Hyrule Warriors Legends, I can't judge it because I've only seen the differences online. I haven't played it myself, but I have heard from people who leaving comments here and there that have the older 3DS and have Hyrule Warriors Legends, and they say they're happy with it. So it's a very tricky question. So I'm curious what you guys think on that, and I'm kind of lost on that one. I don't know how to answer that. I would say, personally, if I was in Nintendo's shoes, I would try to not do too many of these dual releases on the older 3DS and newer 3DS if the game experience is different. Or at the same time, maybe give incentives if you're going to do a dual release of why you should get a new Nintendo 3DS. If you guys remember, there was a few games. The only one I can think of is, I think, Legend of Zelda on the Game Boy Black and White, I think it was. I forget which game it was. It was Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the DX, or it was one of the Oracle of Ages or Oracle of Seasons. Either one of those games, if you played it on the original Game Boy, if you played it on the Game Boy Color, then you would get a special room, a special store you can shop at that you could not see on the black and white version. I can't remember exactly. It's been so long since I played that game, which one it was. So I played them all, but one of them, if you played it on the Game Boy Color and you had the black and white, you'd see a whole new shop that you could not access unless you had the color version. So that would be kind of cool if they did a dual release where you would see something inside the game that you could not see on the older 3DS. Kind of like little incentives here and there to upgrade, little small nudges and pushes. So that's the only thing I can see. The 3DS is kind of struggling with that, where the older 3DS and new 3DS now, they're getting similar games, or they're getting games on both systems, but they run differently. So I'm not sure if that's a great idea, doing it that way. So I think the small little incentives like that, and of course what they've done with the Super Nintendo Virtual Console only on the new Nintendo 3DS, is another small nudge, maybe to upgrade. I think there's going to be the need to be a couple big games, and you may lose some sales, so I'm not sure how they're going to do that, to incentive to upgrade to the new Nintendo 3DS. So I'm not sure even if they're making the older 3DS. I'm sure they are. The old 3DS XLs and stuff, because they're still being sold everywhere. There's so many on the market, I guess, that even if they stop making them, it's not enough incentive for people to upgrade. So they're going to have to do it software-wise, somehow find a way. Because if they go down this road of dual releases on both systems and they run differently, it could cause some problems in the future. Maybe not major enough, so I don't know. So I'm just curious what you guys thought are on that. Anyways, that is all I have for this episode. Sorry it's a little longer than I expected. 2 topics took much longer than I expected. Anyways, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, And as always, have a good one. Take care, everybody.